When ordinary people think of autumn, they imagine shorter days, cozy fires, curling up with a great piece of literature, and basking in the warming scent of cinnamon with shades of burnt orange, which your other half has decided to spend the life savings on to decorate the home for only 2 months, just as God intended. Yet we must remember that this transition into the frosty abyss of winter creates the perfect conditions for the spread of the pathogen known as Halloween. This disease causes people to dress like demons and go door to door asking for free stuff. This public service announcement aims to give you the correct tool to help you deal with these contagious commie behaviors when they manifest in your local community. First, you'll want to arm yourself with multiple shots of the best-selling paperback on Amazon called The Nephilim Looked Like Clowns. With this PPE, you're fully equipped and well protected to handle what's to come next. Second, have a pumpkin spice latte and white girl autumn your time away in knitted cream shackets and pilgrim hats, because soon enough, Samhain begins. This is when the veil between the spirit realm and the physical world is at its thinnest, and possession, the main symptom of Halloween, is more commonly presented, causing this type of unironic cringe to start happening. Just look at him. This poor soul thinks he looks cool. And if you're not careful, this could be you. Together we can stop the spread of Halloween and flatten the curve. When you see fully grown adults playing dress-up and mirroring unspeakable horrors from beyond the void, remember your training and cure their vapid sense of self-identity by handing them one of our favourably reviewed treatments. Your country must develop herd immunity to seasonal cringe. So, spread the cure far and wide. Just like the cure, this disease does not discriminate by age. Emulating the infected, you will see children running around in bedsheets, knocking on doors, begging for sugary treats, and threatening to damage your well-earned property. Make sure to fill their novelty buckets with the one thing all children secretly want: a well-rounded and relatable education in biblical history. That'll stop the spread. The Nephilim Look Like Clowns and the inevitable booster volumes are currently the only known cure to thinly veiled demon channeling holidays. This is your best defense against this pandemic of spooky proportions. All you have to do is trust the science. Which you know we did, because I'm showing you people wearing lab coats and looking serious. Get your copy on Amazon today, and be prepared for tomorrow. Side effects of reading The Nephilim Look Like Clowns include, but are not limited to, a feeling of existential crisis, a well-rounded knowledge of a Christian contrarian view on human history, a foundational understanding of spiritual warfare, and a healthy aversion to clowns.
Hello everyone, how are we all doing? Come on in, sit on down. Welcome to another episode of the Truth Therapy Sessions, episode 69. Right guys, well it's going to be a special episode today. I have a special guest with me, PJ Williams. He is, or was, the former host of the Conspiracy Pilled podcast. And we go way back. He was actually one of the first people who invited me on to discuss the Nephilim Looked Like Clowns theory. One of the first big podcasts I kind of got involved with. And, you know, we had a great talk, and I think we had a great back and forth. And I joined the Discord not long after our conversation and got involved with the community. And, you know, I think we became good friends in the process, and I've enjoyed watching PJ's work with Abby on the Conspiracy Pilled. And they're getting some deep concepts. Have been in the game for a long time. But there's some recent stuff has cropped up, and PJ has decided to go his own way, and he's got some plans for the future. So I thought, you know what, let's get him on. Let's get PJ on to talk about what's going down, what he's got planned for the future, and just have a bit of a therapy session, because I think if anyone deserves a therapy session right now, I think it's PJ. So, PJ, are we there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you. Thanks again for having me on, man. And yeah, we will go back. That was one of my favorite episodes. And it's so funny because I still get messages all the time. People will be like, "Hey, have you heard of this guy, Paul Stobbs? You need to have him on your show." Some close friends of mine who recently, I was friends with a long time ago, haven't really talked to him recently. They found my work, and that was the first question they asked me. They're like, "Hey, if you had Paul Stobbs on," I'm like, "Yeah, I love the guy. He's great." So thanks for having me on, man.
No problem, man. A lot of jokes were knocking about at the start that we're practically just the same looking person.
I hear that a lot.
You've got a bit more of a yellow toned lighting going on than me right now, but we practically have the exact same coloured hair and everything and the same beard. So there's a lot of ginger jokes knocking about in the early days. I remember that. But I've proven recently I'm not actually a real ginger. I wasn't born with orange hair. I have white platinum hair, But
so was I. So was I. Yeah.
Yeah. See, but
I mean, it was like white. Yeah, exactly like that picture.
No one gets it, man. No one gets it.
Nope.
If I get rid of the beard,
mm-hmm.
it's different, But as soon as I put the beard there, they just see orange everywhere, and it's kind of like, no, I just have a slightly orange beard. I'm blonde,
If I got rid of the beard, no one would call me ginger, but I can't stand the baby face.
Well, exactly, yeah. People don't realize it. My chin begins here. I don't want them to. I don't want them to realize that. I've got the whole man of God beard thing going on right now.
There you go.
Stick to it. But yeah,
stick with the beard, man. Looks good.
But I can't imagine getting rid of this twirly bit here now.
Right.
It's my thing. It's what I do. But yeah, beards aside, as important as that is, I think we do have some important things to talk about today. Like I said, You've had a bit of a mix-up and change in your life, a change of direction. And obviously you decided to leave your long-standing position with the Conspiracy Pilled podcast. So I think a lot of people might be here today who want to hear maybe your side of that story a bit more and what maybe not the details of what went down. Obviously, some privacy there. But do you maybe want to shed some light on
I do actually, and I've gotten a lot of messages, and I want to just put this on the table first and foremost. A lot of people think there's some crazy thing happening behind the scenes, that there's a conspiracy even there. People are waiting for the other shoe to drop to find out what's really going on. And to be honest, guys, there's just nothing that interesting happening behind the scenes. I know it sounds, scary and it seems sudden and things like that. But the truth is, it really just boils down to creative differences. And I know that that's not what people want to hear, and they want to think there's something else. But let me just put it this way. You guys saw the email. You guys, if you watched the episode Abby did, if there was something more to be said, I think she would have said something. And same with me. So I've been quiet, mostly out of I just hate I hate all this stuff. I hated leaving. I didn't want to leave suddenly. I think a lot of people know that I offered to stay on for 2.5 months and make a transition and help Abby along with a co-host and with production and things like that. That's not something she wanted to do, and I get it. Feelings get hurt and things like this. But yeah, I know it's just a boring answer. It's really just, it comes down to, I said it in the email. I felt like this was kind of driving a wedge between us. I wasn't sure we worked super well together, and I wanted to end things before it became further resentment, further issues, further problems. And I just wanted to kind of start my own thing and leave Abby to do her own thing. And there's no I don't want to get into he said, she said stuff. I don't want to do if you watch her show, you can't watch mine. I hope Abby does well with Conspiracy Pilled. I really do. And I hope you guys support me in what I do next. So that's the boring truth of it, I guess. It's not as salacious as people would probably like, but that's the truth.
So the feds didn't get to you then. That's not what's going on here.
No, I'm not gonna lie though, dude. That one really did hurt, and we don't have to go into it, but I can't tell you how many messages I've gotten asking me who got to me. Did the feds get to me? How can I help? Who's got dirt on you? There's nothing like that. The feds don't have to get to somebody for you to decide that you don't want to work with someone. That's just adults. It's business. It is what it is. That one really sucked. I think the other one, so I'll address this now. People are asking me if I'm getting sued. I know that you're one of the people that asked me this. And I know that Abby clarified which is kind of like a page 37 retraction when it's in the comments. Let's just be honest. That when she was talking about lawyers, she was talking about transferring a dual LLC. We own the business 50-50. Mm-hmm. I decided to step away, and I knew that in stepping away, that meant that unless I wanted to get into a legal battle and a bunch of bullshit that I don't believe in, that if I wanted to leave, that I was going to leave for the business. And then we negotiated some stuff that I was going to take with me. So that's what the lawyer thing is about. There's no lawsuits. There's no scandal. There's anger and resentment to a degree I wish that there wasn't. I truly do. And I hope it gets buried and we can all move on. But there's nothing salacious going on. I know it's a boring answer. I mean, it just sucks. It just sucks. I feel like I lost my baby. You know, I've been working on this for over 2 years. Conspiracy Pilled was born out of an idea that had been working on an entire year previous to that. It's actually kind of a long, I mean, we don't have to go into a long story, but in 2019, I started a podcast called Totally Plausible. I know there's people watching who are still supporting me from those days. I did that for a year, mutually walked away from it. My co-host wasn't into podcasting the way that I was. And I had spent a long time looking for a co-host to replace that show. So when we started Conspiracy Pilled, it started with the YouTube from that show and some of the audience from that show and some of the stuff that I had built up. So in a lot of ways, it's a 3-year running thing. And really, it goes back to 2019 for me. So walking away from it was incredibly difficult. It's probably been the hardest week of my life. And I'm not trying to like give you guys a sob story. I'd like to get into looking forward to the future. But that's just the truth of it, guys. I've been quiet partially because I've been really, really down, to be honest.
I feel for you because I mean you have quite a big following, you know, on you kind of migrated away from YouTube because of free speech and all the rest of it. I understand you kind of went to Rumble and established it there, and it's about 8,000 subscribers on Rumble, which is quite good for Rumble. That's like the equivalent of like 20 to 30,000 on YouTube practically in terms of the same, you know, it translates a little bit differently, doesn't it, over there? And I saw you did some work with Babylon Bee as well, which is quite, you know, quite big. Some little skits I think I remember you guys doing. And
yeah, it was fun. We got to go to the Babylon Bee office last year and they let us be in a skit. So it's very fun.
But that's what I mean. You were making waves, you were breaking into places, and you were making a name for yourself. And obviously, but then I understand, you know, creative differences do arise. I'm in the art game myself. Right. I've worked with people, you know, and I understand it's not always easy to work necessarily in a way that starts going against your own principles and morals. And there comes a point where you have to make that step to kind of say, okay, it's time to move on. And I need to follow what I need to do for myself, you know, and what I believe in. I understand that concept, but it must have been hard to let go. Because again, you have a huge community on Discord as well, you know, and I'll let you go from there, but
no, it has been. And I don't, again, if I can apologize to the audience in one way at all, it was never my intention to leave a 1-minute video and then just piss off. That was not my intention. I never wanted it. I wanted to stay on the show to the end of the year, soften the blow, be able to say, hey, look, I'm leaving Abby, all of this stuff, and you guys, you know, have all these things. And I wanted to give that to community. I feel it was unfair for them not to get that personally. It hurt me a lot to kind of walk away the way that I did, but I was trying to respect what Abby wanted. And yeah, man, it sucked. Sucked for me, sucked for you guys. It wasn't fair. It wasn't fair to you guys at all. Leaving it was hard. I will say that I've never prayed more in my entire life. I've also never been more sick in my entire life over a decision than I have this week. You guys, some of you know my wife, a lot of you know my wife, and she'd tell you the same thing. I've been just absolutely beside myself, miserable. That doesn't mean that I don't believe I'm doing what I need to be doing. I wouldn't be doing this if I hadn't prayed about it, discussed it with my wife, and really felt convicted that I needed to step aside and pursue something of my own. I still know what that looks like. Some of you guys know that I'm doing Real Conspiracies. I'm going to continue doing Real Conspiracies. That is, we can talk about that. Mm-hmm. I'm definitely working on the next step of this because it's not the end for me, and it's not. I'm going to keep giving you guys the things that you like, the content you want, the stuff that I'm passionate about making. Just got to figure out how that's going to look. So
yeah, well,
that's where I'm at.
I'm hoping today I can help you. You know, get the word out that you have this thing going on that you want to keep going with. Because the thing is, you're a fantastic producer. Like, you can use OBS in ways I couldn't even dream of. And I've been using OBS for like over 2 years now. I'm useless with this thing. It's incredibly difficult.
OBS is, it's a learning curve. But we were talking about that before the show.
Yeah, the transitions you come up with, the videos you've made, the pre-rolls, the B-rolls and all the rest of it, and the way you've compiled and the way you present your interviews with other people and your own show. It's the production value is A-class. It's up there, you know, it's fantastic. And I think that's an element that does need to get brought with this game and talking about conspiracy. Sure. I'm surprised I've got as far as I have, to be honest, with the lack of production quality in my own work. So, you know, you bring that element of professionalism to it, which I think you can take with you wherever you go, which, you know, deserves the credit it's due. And you tackle a lot of hard topics. And again, because you're on Rumble with a bit more of a free speech platform, you do go into hard difficult to talk about topics
Right.
on platforms like YouTube, you know, so I encourage anyone to go and listen to it. So just in terms of like artistic style, shall we say, or communicative style, were you looking to take the future of the things you're going to discuss and how you're going to discuss them? What kind of topics are you looking to get into, and in what angle are you looking to kind of present these conspiracy topics from now on?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, just to tell people who aren't familiar, if you don't mind, with real conspiracies, that is what I'm doing, and I'm going to keep doing it. That is a show where I really wanted to, and it was designed as a side thing. It was designed as a passion project. It's really not built to be all inclusive enough to talk about everything that I really want to talk about. But what it is I try to bring on a guest, other people that hopefully in the conspiracy community who want to talk about the occult symbolism and hidden meanings inside of movies and video games. I went to school to study movies. I love film. It's one of my biggest passions outside of music and podcasting. So I'm going to keep doing that, and I want to put those out every Tuesday. So that's one of the aspects of what I want to be doing. Is just it's kind of fun because it's like it's not. It just is what it is. It's like an hour to an hour and a half going through a movie, talking about the symbolism. I try to pre-tape those and edit them, so there's like a lot of visual stuff going on with it for the people who want to watch it. That's one thing. But what I want to do beyond that is still, I hate not having a good answer for this. I'm still figuring it out. There's the one thing that people keep messaging me about that they're worried is going to go away, and it's not, because it's my biggest passion, is the deep dives that I do on stuff. When I get really into something, sometimes I'll do 3-4 parters that are 2 hours at a time, just like really trying to hammer down on something. The latest one for me was Mockingbird. I felt so done wrong by the people who were looking into Project Mockingbird over the years, because they kept coming to the same answer. It's like, oh, Operation Mockingbird is just Project Mockingbird. It's just when 2 journalists got wiretapped in 1953. And it's not. It was way deeper. And it went into 400 plus journalists in the 60s being directly on the CIA's payroll. It evolved in the 90s into Hollywood and the CIA. And I believe it's happening now with social media influencers and things like that. So the deep dives into all of those things and being all expansive is, and not being afraid to go into politics, not being afraid to go into religion and stuff like that. Like, that's all absolutely what I want to continue doing. I don't know how it's going to look. I do want to do interviews too. It's not my main thing. I've never really been an interview guy, but I would love to. There's some people I really, really want to talk to in this space. So I want to get into that. And I've got a couple of people that I'm talking to, that I've had people ask me about for a long time. So I really want to just do as much of all the things as I can. I'm kind of one of those people that, has a lot of mental energy to just keep creating. And if I'm not creating, I feel like I can't sit still. I'm like a JoJo the Indian Circus Boy with a pretty new pet. I'm just going all the time. So yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. I want to do movies, cult symbolism, deep dives on conspiracy stuff, talk to people. I just feel like the world is so much stranger than most people want to give it credit for. And I just wanted to talk about all the strange things.
Absolutely. I mean, it's uncanny, actually. We have a lot of similarities, and we talked about earlier. It's not just our hair color. It's kind of you have a wife who's heavily involved with making sure you deal with this thing behind the scenes well. And it's kind of. But you also,
I got to shout out my wife real quick. Deanna's been the most amazing wife ever. She's gotten me through some really dark days. But yeah, keep going, man.
But it's kind of this idea that you were both together making this decision, a big step in your life to free yourself in a way where you can pursue what you actually want to pursue yourself. Same thing happened to me when I had to quit my manager job as a supermarket. Not talking about conspiratorial stuff here, but it was the same thing. I wanted to stay on. I wanted to help my transition leaving easier, and that sort of thing. But when it came to the last minute, I couldn't do any of that for those people. And it wasn't against them personally. It was more of, I can't spend another minute in this place wasting time when I have this thing I need to do for myself. It's that type of. It's not like wasting time. The wrong way to say it, but it's more like I know what you mean. I have to do this, and my wife was there, fully supportive, saying, "If you're not happy, you need to go and do what you need to do. Leave the job. We'll be fine." And to have that support from your spouse during these big moments in your life, it's you need it. It's the best thing ever. It's what we live for, And it's you can never thank someone like that enough, you know what I mean? So again, shout out to the wife for being there for you to make that big decision, and obviously during this time. But it's also this idea you can't stop producing. You have to be doing something. You have to be creating. You've got to keep. You have that passion, that drive. That if you're not doing it, then what are you even doing with your life? Type of thing. I'm there with you as well. So it's just funny. So I had to bring that up.
The best advice I ever heard in my entire life came from Andrew Clavin, and he said, "If you don't have to create, don't do it. But if you can't do anything else, you have to do it."
Yeah.
And I've stepped away in the past thinking, this is too much. Maybe I'd be happier. Maybe if I had a boat and could go on camping trips with the family more often and do that whole thing and football games on Friday nights and whatever, I'd be happy. And I can't. I just literally can't do it. I've learned that about myself now. So like this is like I keep saying it's not the end for me because I literally know I can't. I just can't go do that. I have to create. So I'm going to create something and I'm going to keep moving forward. But yeah.
Well, you know what they say: if you build it, they'll come. Cheesy stereotype, but there's a reason why it's there and it exists because it's true, you know. And I think again, you've got enough of people who know who you are already, who can follow you to the next thing, and I'm sure you'll do really well. So I'm not worried about that. Again, anyone listening who doesn't know, go and subscribe. I've listed down below where they can find you currently on Rumble and on YouTube. I think you've Conspiracy Pilled has been changed on YouTube to your current account. That's right, PJ Williams. Is that correct?
Yeah. So Conspiracy Pilled's YouTube channel was totally plausible before. So was Instagram. So in the exit deal that we kind of negotiated, I know Abby really wants to. We always kind of planned on making Conspiracy Pilled a Rumble only. We just thought eventually we'd get kicked off of YouTube. It never fully happened. So I said I'd like to keep the YouTube, and she was cool with that. Same with the Instagram. I built that myself. So if you do follow on YouTube, if you do follow on Instagram, they're changing, but you'll still be able to find out what I'm doing next there. So like, I think most people follow on one of those two places, who've been following it all. So you guys will get announcements that way. That's kind of going to be the easiest way for me to put it out there. Real Conspiracies has its own YouTube, its own Rumble, its own Instagram, and all that. So follow those as well. And it's REEL if people are wondering, because it's like movie reels. I should have said that earlier. But yeah, that's those things. The YouTube, the Instagram, I'll have those. So there will be updates there.
As like I said, the links are in the description of this video.
Yes.
To Real Conspiracies and also to PJ Williams, which is formerly Conspiracy Pilled. I assume the @ is going to be changed. The handle will get updated.
Yeah, I'm still figuring out what I want to call my next thing.
Of course, yeah, but people can go follow you over there. I think you already have like 4,000 subscribers on that channel alone anyway. So it's a good basis to jumping off point so people know where to find you anyway. So I think you'll do well for yourself, to be honest, PJ. And like I said, let's talk about the future and these ideas. So I checked out Real Conspiracies. I think you were talking about the Matrix in the most recent one.
Yeah. I actually had a friend, Jared Michaud, who's an author. He came on, we discussed the Matrix, and I personally loved that movie since I was a kid. I mean, we're about the same age, I think. So if you were a boy at, between like 8 and 18 in 1999, you probably loved The Matrix. And we just broke it down. We got really into it. And it was, I think it's the most clear maybe movie that kind of gives the Gnostic fairy tale. And so we went through that. And it was funny because I had covered the Lego movie a few weeks prior. And if you haven't seen the Lego movie, it's The Matrix for kids, and it's the same exact story. So it was kind of fun to talk about it from like the kids' angle, and then from like the Wachowski brother/sisters angle. But yeah, what did you think of the Matrix one, man? Did you like it?
Yeah, no, I got about half an hour into it, to be honest. I'm not going to lie.
Okay.
But obviously, the Matrix is a topic that if you are a conspiracy theorist,
right,
you have covered or deep dived or understood the Matrix quite well, and its representations. And it's ironic, isn't it? Because obviously you've interpreted it, and the correct interpretation, I would say, as a Gnostic view of creation and God and our place in the world. And it's very much an anti-God position, a demiurge position, take on the whole situation. How human beings are kind of kept trapped in creation by an evil, cruel, soulless, robotic in sense kind of prison keeper who's indifferent towards us but uses us as an energy source with the Archon. It's all kind of weaved into this narrative we call the Matrix. But then ironically, back in the early days, let's say the golden age of conspiracy on YouTube, like 2012 to 2016 period, that scenes from the Matrix were the go-to clips when anybody was talking about conspiracy theories. It's like, which pill do you want to take, Neo? It's like that scene.
Yeah.
I've seen that scene like 10,000 times trying to sift through these old conspiracy videos.
Pilled is a joke on that, right? It was like, is it the red pill or the blue pill? And it's like, it's neither. It's the conspiracy pill. Like, there's something else going on.
This is what I mean. Like, you see scenes like, what if I told you, Neo? You see that scene over and over and over again in all these old conspiracy videos. The first ones that were showing, do you see these signs everywhere, the Illuminati symbols, and you've got Neo doing his speech in the back, Morpheus doing his speech in the background, so it's kind of, but people have always equated it as like, the truth is the Matrix. We live in the Matrix, man. It's like we're trapped in a world of symbols in this Matrix they've created around us with the evil occult people. But the irony is, no, we don't live in the Matrix. The Matrix is what they want you to perceive the world we live in as a prison, as a problem. They want you to perceive God as a bad guy. So all those early days where people are like watching these videos of conspiracy thinking to learn the truth and gaining the right perspective about the prison we're trapped in, man, that was kind of the point. They were trying to brainwash you through probably controlled opposition to believe, to see 100% it that way, But I'll let you do your take, but that's what I kind of took from that in the old days. Today, well, from my Christian perspective today, I don't think we're in the Matrix by the standard of the movie. I think it's all a part of this Gnostic zeitgeist style indoctrination. It all goes part and parcel, doesn't it, in a way? But I'll let you just did the show on it. What did you get? What did you see?
Oh no, I 100% agree. The whole idea that we live in a prison planet, the simulation theory, all of these things, I've gone pretty in depth on them in previous episodes. And even where it comes from, even where the idea of multiverse comes from, and the many worlds theory comes from, and getting into Schrodinger's cat and all that stuff. But yeah, I think that you're right. I think it's probably some type of controlled opposition. But what's interesting, and I think a lot of people don't realize this, is I talked about this with the first episode of Real Conspiracies, was I did Inception. Have you ever seen that movie?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so in Inception, my take on it essentially was that the whole point of it is that it's planting an idea in someone's mind. And in the end of Inception, he plants the idea in Maul's mind that her world is not real. And I made the case that this movie also implanted the idea in the audience's mind that their world is not real. And through like the way to wake up in that movie, because it has a little bit more answers than the Matrix. The Matrix is like, you just got to start waking up. You got to start realizing that, Yalda Boat, this evil creator guy is trapped you here and they're sapping your energy and whatever. But with Inception, it seemed like the idea was that you could escape through the somacin, this drug inside of the movie. And that, sorry, where was I going with this?
We were talking about the parallels between the Inception and the Matrix.
Right. Yeah. I was just saying, like, it seemed like it was giving you kind of more of it was implanting that idea in you and kind of giving you this way. And what I found is that the movie showed psychedelic retreats and things like that. And I feel like if you've gone to any conspiracy conventions or truther conventions or things like that, as I have, I feel like I'm the only person that goes to these things who doesn't have a personal shaman, who isn't trying to escape the Matrix through the use of drugs and things like that. So I feel like that was just a further, like the Matrix is 1999. Inception is 2010, and it seems like for 20, 30 plus years now, we've been kind of getting indoctrinated into this world is not real. You can escape it through drugs, and you could maybe even just live in the pod, eat the bugs, be inside of a digital world. And it seems like that's kind of where we're going, is like the way to escape the Matrix is like fully like flipped it on its head, where it's like plugging ourselves into the Matrix as the escape.
Let's go deeper into the Matrix to escape the Matrix.
Right, yeah.
The sad thing is the majority of the world is seeking some kind of spiritual release or truth or something. Everyone has that God-shaped hole inside of them, and we spend most of our lives seeking to fill that hole with many other things other than God before we finally get to that position. And people are looking for a spiritual answer to the problem of existence. It's kind of built into us, isn't it? And things like the Matrix and these Gnostic worldviews and the promise of you can ascend out of the pain by going deeper into it, by taking the right drug, doing the right virtual reality thing, or whatever it is, or doing the spiritual work through these worldly methods, in I don't know, merge yourself with machine, or take this drug, like I said, or put this thing inside of you or whatever. And it's kind of, that's not the answer. The answer is not of this world. The kingdom isn't of this world. It's, you need to get right with Jesus, understand God and his son and all these type of things. But most people don't have any context today to understand Christianity necessarily, and we're in the game of trying to bridge that gap, I suppose, in the conspiracy world. But there's just this large contingent of New Age thought in the conspiracy culture alone, which is this idea that it's all about consciousness ascension, it's all about ascending to the fifth dimension, or it's all about chakra alignments, or
the Akashic records, all these things.
Yeah, get in touch with your spirit guides, and listening to the Pleiadians and the galactic messages of the Federation of Hope and whatever it is, But it's anything but just the basic Bible, Christian angle, tried and tested. The Holy Spirit, get right with God, get saved situation, and it's. I personally cringe a lot when I hear a lot of these Gnostic New Age ideas, and I cringe at the personalities that get created when people follow these ideas.
Agreed.
You know what I mean?
Have you ever spent time watching the Pleiadian people?
Well, it
is the cringiest part of YouTube or TikTok or whatever, is like the Pleiadian channelers. I feel like the cringe level alone should make people go, yeah, that's not true. Like there's just no way.
Yeah, I don't know what I've done to deserve the Instagram feed that I've got. But my Instagram feed, my algorithm, the things they send me and I see, just I was laughing the other day with Vitaly and JT, Alpha Talks and JT.
Oh yeah.
And we have a group Bible study group chat, and he was telling me about his new show he's got going on, this JT's mixtape, where he reacts to videos, and he wants to invite me on. And I was telling him, you need to see my algorithm on Instagram. So I literally just went on Instagram, because it's on the Instagram chat, we were talking anyway. And I literally just spent 3 minutes, one video after the other, just sending the video. I wasn't even like skipping videos. And I've got
just send him straight your feed.
I sent him 10 of my videos from my feed, and it's people like the Pleiadians channeling or something like that, or like just lunatic, absolute terrifying, insane people who are like clearly demonically possessed, just doing demon stuff, you know what I mean? Just going out there and looking nuts and cringy. It's like something about demonic influence. It's not scary to behold. It's icky to behold.
I like that you say that though, because it's so true, right? It's kind of icky and it's kind of like cringe in a way.
Yeah.
This is the thing that nobody tells anybody out there, is if you want to get into the conspiracy game, you think it's all glitz and glamour and fun and things like that, and then look at the lists you get on for your search history, and the YouTube and Instagram algorithm is just completely screwed. You're just going to see a lot of stuff you don't want to see. TikTok becomes weird. If you spend 5 minutes on witch talk, it's all you get, and it's
Absolutely.
Witch talk might be the worst. It might be worse than Pleiadian talk, or whatever you call it.
I kept seeing a lot of female empowerment retreats where like some woman's like doing this over some woman's body, and she's like pulsating on the ground, making cow noises, and I'm like, she's unlocking her inner yoni or something like that, and I'm like, what are you doing? Get off the floor. Cows like do stuff on that ground, like get out the field. Like, this is not sanitary.
Let's be honest though, a lot of these witch talk women are indistinguishable from the cows, so we're honest.
Let's be honest. Well, it's kind of like, this idea of like modern day white witchcraft and all this type of stuff. It's kind of, we know witchcraft's witchcraft. There's no white witches or black witches. That's the lie. Like, you're dabbling in the occult. You're dealing with demons. That's all you're really doing. It's
the same as left hand, right hand. People are constantly trying to make the distinction. Well, if I take the right hand path, it's actually good and wonderful and great. And it's like, it's all the same thing. But even in their belief, it leads to the same exact place, doesn't it? It leads to the same chakra, or whatever you want to call it. It's all in service of the same thing.
There's many flavors of Luciferianism, is what I'm trying to say here. But it's all fundamentally, it's like whatever appeals to a particular personality. Lucifer's got a packaged version of his belief system for them, Oh, you're more gothic, you like the darker version, you know what I mean? He has that kind of version for you in like just straight up Satanism. Let's just go through Satanism, let's go to the Aleister Crowley. You're a bit more occult. You want to get a bit more like weird, go to Aleister Crowley route rather than the mainstream Satanism route, or you want to, you want to feel good about yourself and feel like you're enlightened. Let's go down the New Age path instead. It's kind of, but it's all fundamentally, you are a god. We all have the potential to unlock our own power as gods, and it tends to always go down the Gnostic route of the real creator of this world is evil. Christianity is evil. and it wants to suppress you and keep you down and not let you realize your true potential. And then it's just, you're back to the Garden of Eden, you're back to the serpent, the promise of you'll be as gods, and God's lying to you. He just doesn't want you to be like him, you know. Go ahead, sorry.
I can save everybody a whole lot of time. Like, because sometimes on my show, on Real Conspiracies especially, I think Jared and I were talking about this later in the Matrix episode, where it's like you have all these beliefs, and it's like, is the Gnostic Trinity is the Gnostic Trinity that it's man, wife, and son, or is it Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and all this stuff, and different beliefs from different sects? And I think that the truth is that whether you're following Anton LaVey Satanism, Aleister Crowley's Ordo Templi Orientis, you're following this Gnostic path or this New Age path or this or that or the other, there's really just two things that all boil down to, and you can get lost in the weeds and read all the tomes and the books and the grimoires, and you'll just every single time, Freemasonry is the same way, every single time you'll come down to two thoughts, and there's only two. And one is that what you just said, that the creator of this universe is actually bad, he actually hates you, and he's probably part of a bigger bunch of creators. So that's the whole Yaldabaoth architect thing, right? And then the other thing, there's only two other thought that it all boils down to, is that the snake in the garden was good. Actually, the knowledge he wanted to give you was actually good. It's just those two thoughts. They all boil down to it. They all have their version of it, but like they all end there. So you could follow the New Age path for a decade to realize it. You could follow whatever path for however long to get there, but they always get there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
A lot of time.
It is just that, you know, God's a bad guy. He doesn't care about you. And the devil's
Lucifer's the light bringer.
The devil's the good guy. He's Prometheus. He stole the fire of the gods and gave it to humanity, and was punished by the evil god for helping us. You know, because he doesn't want to help humanity, and he's bad. And then often it gets weird. It's like Jesus is just a symbol for the sun.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard all of it.
Jesus didn't really exist. But no. The Christos oil is like the spinal fluid that goes up to your third. It's kind of, then it gets really weird. And it doesn't, I've said this in my own videos. I've made my own videos like lambasting Gnosticism. And the video is literally titled Gnosticism is Cringe. And it's literally just me giving no proof or evidence, just railing for like 10 minutes at how I'm sick to death of the Gnostic comments on my videos. Because it's so word salad, pretentious twaddle. It's the only way to describe it.
But that's how it works, right? Like, that's why I was making the case earlier. All end at the same thing. It's just like the more word salad you add in, and the more whatever ritual and bullshit you add in, like at the end of the day, it all ends at the same thing, and it's all the same lie, and it's an ancient lie going back to the garden itself. You know, you can become as gods. It's the oldest lie, literally in history ever, and it's just. Like, I feel like everybody's just trying to package it in a way that like draws someone in enough that the sunken cost fallacy sets in, and they're like, well, I'm this far into the New Age, I've got, you know, the salts and the crystals and the dream catchers, and I'm kind of bought in, you know, so they just will stay, I think.
I don't get it personally. I think it's I think pride runs heavily through the whole movement, because again, I made this video and I literally just went on hitting a few Gnostic points along the way, like we've done today, discussed some of them, because it's a broad umbrella. It's like massive. They have not all Gnostics believe the same thing. They all have their own nuanced gnosis. Everyone's got their own little bit of knowledge that they've gained that has their own spin on it, you know what I mean? And it's kind of a metaphorical interpretation of everything, you know? So you can't pin it down. You can't say this is Gnosticism fundamentally.
Right.
No matter what I did, there was always somebody saying, well, that's not real Gnosticism. It's like communism. It's like,
it's exactly,
you know what I mean?
Communism.
It's like, no. If you do it my way, this is real Gnosticism. What you're discussing isn't actually Gnosticism. It's like, well, what is it then? Like, because no one's got a straight answer. Nobody. And it's kind of like, Jesus was a Gnostic. You know, the early Jesus wasn't a scene. And they start like, I thought Jesus was the sun. Which one is it? You know what I mean? I thought Jesus didn't exist.
I thought he didn't exist. Yeah.
Like, which one is it? Like,
it's the same as like the hardcore atheist. Like, God doesn't exist and I hate him. You know, it's the same line of thinking.
Absolutely. But this thing, I just made a video like, I didn't give evidence, but that's what they go on. It's like, didn't give a single shred of like evidence to back up his claims that God's real and Gnosticism's false. It's kind of like, that wasn't what the video was for. I was just screaming into the air because I was on YouTube until about 2018 when I had to leave, and I was out of the game for 5 years. And when I left in 2018, the Christian truther community was strong. It was big.
Right.
you know, and the Gnostic stuff was fringe. It was more New Age stuff then, and the Gnostic alchemical thing going on was low level, but no one really took it seriously because it's kind of like, you know, we know it's about the devil and Christ and Jesus. But then when I came back after 5 years, there's hardly anyone in the Christian community anymore on the conspiracy world as a voice, and it was just full of Gnostics. Everything was Gnosticism. Everything was Gnosticism. The only truth is in Gnosticism. And I was like, what the hell happened? I go away for like 5 years, I come back and like, Jesus is now the sun, and like the world, we all need to escape the evil prison planet. It's like, when did this happen? Like,
I love it because I'm listening to you and I'm like, this is, I feel, well, this is what I'm saying to my wife all the time. I'm like, it's all Gnosticism. I'm like, you probably are sick of me saying that word. And I've probably said it a million times, but it's just so true. It's just everywhere. And I feel like, you know, even when you talk about Gnosticism now, people will correct me like, well, Gnosticism was a Christian this. And it's like, and then they'll also say, well, it predates Christianity. It's like, yeah, because it's not Christian. It's just like glommed onto it because that's what it does. It just gloms onto things, and it's glommed onto the conspiracy community in a big way. You know, seeking the truth, and sometimes the truth is what it is, and sometimes it's not even like that crazy. You know what I mean? Sometimes it just is. And I think that it has to be more is kind of like that foot in the door of like, well, that can't be it. It can't be as simple as that God made himself fully man and fully human and died for your sins. And it's worked for a lot of people for a long time. That has to be something weird.
It has to be a metaphor symbolically.
Right, exactly.
That we are all gods and that we can all unlock the Christ from within. It must be that. And it's like, no, he was a literal dude who walked around doing miracles, preaching a very specific gospel. It's like, believe in my Father, through me you'll be saved. It's kind of like, I come here doing the will of my Father. It's kind of like, and it's like, oh yeah, well, you know, the guy he was talking about isn't the Old Testament God. And they always like
it's funny though, because like I was in church this morning listening to Galatians, and it was when Paul is talking about how, look, you guys are so ready to abandon the gospel, and look, even if an angel comes to you and he has a different gospel, and he's going through all this stuff talking about how they're straying. And to me, it just seems perfectly clear this is Gnosticism that they're talking about. It's never stated explicitly, but a lot of scholars believe it is. The word heresy literally comes from, I can't remember the name of the guy. I think he was the disciple of John. So John was a disciple of Jesus, his disciple basically invented the word heresy, and it was to talk about the Gnostics. And it was literally saying like, yeah, these people, they like right now, this old Platonic idea, this old Greek Plato, you know, idea that's kind of like Plato's ideas, that's pretending to be Christianity right now, but it's not for all these reasons. And that's what heresy means. And we've just kind of lost that. So like, I always look back to like Galatians and stuff like that, where I'm like, I think Paul was dealing with this in his time. And I think that's exactly what the Church of Galatia was dealing with. And I think that's what we're dealing with today. It's really made a comeback with like Dan Brown starting in 2000. It's just like grown and grown and grown. I mean, really, it was this turn of the century, wasn't it? The Matrix was 1999. Dan Brown's books, I think, started around 2000. If you know what I'm talking about with Dan Brown?
The Da Vinci Code?
The Da Vinci Code, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, weren't like most of the Gnostic texts and the Nag Hammadi texts and all these, weren't they only discovered like, it wasn't that long
in
ago?
1947, yeah. I mean? And then they weren't interpreted for a long time.
What an odd year, for those things to suddenly appear. What a coincidence.
Have you talked to, sorry, I'm not trying to get us off topic too much, but have you talked to Jim Barfield at all?
No, I've not, no.
You should, because he's got this whole like timeline where he's just like put the Bible into a timeline, and he's got this whole thing, and like the way that 1947 like really looks when you look at it on this like prophetic timeline and all this stuff. It's just amazing work. I'm doing a bad job of explaining it, but he's a fascinating guy you should talk to. Good friend of mine. So
sure, yeah, link me up. Send me an email. Send me some links so we can get in touch. But all I'm saying is this Gnostic thing is a lot newer as a revival, shall we say?
Yes, 100%.
Than we think, you know. And again, it's old. It is old. Don't get me wrong. But like I said, I had someone called Lloyd De Jong on, and he has his own thing, you know. He's got his own beliefs, but he does some great work on just Gnosticism and the history of it in general, and how it kind of, like you said, gloms on is a great way to describe it. And he explains how every religion has a Gnostic version, because that's what Gnosticism does. It's like it I don't know, masks itself as whatever belief system it's claiming to be a part of, and then injects the Gnostic worldview into it. and gives it a veneer of the religion it's claiming to truly be representing. So Islam has its own Gnostic thing through the Sufis. Christianity has its own Gnosticism as well through just straight up Gnosticism. You know what I mean? If we just call it that. But it's kind of, it's everywhere though. It's in everything. And it's this idea that every individual can do their own gnosis and download interpretation of things, regardless of, let's say, the source text or what the actual prophets themselves said. It's like everyone has their own interpretation that's valid, starts to seep in, and then that's where you start getting these wild ideas that it leads to, well, maybe God wasn't a good guy, you know? It always ends up there, basically, and it's kind of, we're gods, I'm a god, I can do it myself, you know what I mean? It always ends up there, and then, like I said, but the problem is you can never describe it fully, and the people who claim to follow it are always like, that's not what I believe. It's
amorphous on purpose, though. Like you get into Gnosticism around Jesus in particular, and it's like, well, some Gnostics believe that Jesus was a hologram. Some Gnostics believe that he was he himself gained gnosis and he ascended to the whatever degree and became enlightened and all that stuff. And the other ones, he's just a good teacher, or he was actually the son of God, but he was fighting against God with the help of Sophia and Mary Magdalene. It's like this, it's a bunch, but it's all the same thing. It's all that Jesus and the God creator of this universe are at odds with each other, and that the spiritual and the physical are fully separated, which is not a Christian concept either.
I think it's funny because I realized like it appeals to a certain type of individual.
Well, I was going to say this earlier, but you said Gnosticism, and then I was thinking it's like narcissism is almost the exact, like we can become as gods. So you might as well just call it that.
Well, yeah. Well,
in a sense,
I kind of have in the past. This is what gets. This is why Gnostics like don't like me. Like they really hate me, and they don't like the way I talk about it. I've actually heard. I've seen in like forums on Reddit. It's kind of like, I really like this guy's channel and the work he's making. I just wish he wouldn't rip so much into Gnostics. Like I really wish he wouldn't rip into us so much. And I'm like, well, stop talking nonsense then, like with a G at the front. Stop talking so much nonsense, and I'll be happy. You know what I mean? It's kind of there's no knowns, and you can. The sad thing is, you can know Jesus. You can actually just ask, and he'll show you himself to you, and he'll teach you and save you and change you from within and make you born again and a new person through the Holy Spirit. It's not a mystery, like. But they want the mystery.
That you say that, though. I like that you said, though, because I think that people are so afraid for answers. Like, and with Jesus, it's exactly that. Like, the reason you're so confident, the reason I'm so confident, the reason that we make fun of Gnostics the way we do is because we actually have truth. We found truth, and we're not just going, I hope that Christ is real. I hope that God is real. I hope that heaven's real. I hope all of these things. Like, yes, we have hope, we have faith, but there's a knowing in asking Christ to make himself reveal himself to you, to make him known in your life, and through that search, when you find that truth, which is the truth, like it's not something you can just let go of easily. I think if you've actually done the work, you actually are searching for truth, you're going to find Jesus, and when you do find that truth, it like everything, it should just be obvious. It just should just be, I don't have to second guess anymore. Like it's a known thing. It's no longer a question, I guess.
Well, someone sent me a link the other day to Jeremiah 33:3. Great passage, and it's a good reminder on exactly this. It's call unto me, and I will answer thee. Straight to the point. And show thee great and mighty things which thou knowest not. Call to me, and I will answer you, and will tell you the great and hidden things that you have not known. Ask me, and I will tell you remarkable secrets you do not know about things to come. And that's what Gnostics claim to have. Like, they figured it out through their own interpretations, and like they figured it out because they've connected all these crazy dots together or something like that. And it's kind of, or just ask God and he'll show you. But it's kind of, no, they want to say, I did it myself. It's pride. Pride runs right through the whole movement from its very inception. They think they're gods fundamentally, and they're better. They know better than the creator of the universe. The pride is heavy. That's what I'm saying. It appeals to the prideful individual who wants to be like a magical wizard. Basically, it's kind of like I know all this occult stuff. I know all this arcane knowledge and witchcraft and wizardry. I know about all the symbols. I know so much hidden knowledge that makes me so smart and profound that I can then look down upon the unwashed, uneducated, profane masses. You know what I mean? They want to have that. What it is. They want to have that lording over attitude of, I have all this gnosis knowledge that I ascertain through my own magic or something. Like, it's kind of, the sad truth is you can literally just ask God.
Yeah.
And he will show you things. He'll show you the truth. The truth can be known. It's not this guarded secret anymore. Like, it's kind of, you don't need to go through the occult initiation stepladder methods of Freemasonry to get to the level of Master Mason, where you're given drip fed all the secret levels as it goes along. And even then, it's a lie. Even then, it's Gnosticism. Exactly. It's just Gnosticism.
Well, even Albert Pike is like, yeah, we lied all the people up until a certain point. So like all the secret knowledge you're learning as a Freemason is all bunk by the time you get to 33rd degree anyway. So it's like, I don't know what you're really searching for.
It's like, then we'll tell you the truth about the light of Lucifer, which is still a lie. So it's kind of, it's all nonsense. And
the ultimate truth is a lie. And it's like, man, to get to that 33rd degree too, you got to spend some bucks from what I understand. So
I don't know. I mean, even then,
I'm just the rumors.
Even then, you're not finished.
The difference between 32 and 33 is like money that you've donated.
Well, it's a big club you're not supposed to easily get in anyway. But even then, it doesn't end with Freemasonry. Then you can be a Shriner.
No.
And then after
Freemasonry is just the... Yeah. It really is just the face of the thing. It's the veneer. It's the thing that everybody's allowed to see. And it's kind of secret, but it's not really.
Well, you can be a Shriner. And then if you go into Shrining, you could be a Jester. Invite only, And that's where the real knowledge is. And it's like...
Who knows?
I thought you said the real knowledge was when I was the 30th. It doesn't end. And I thought it's kind of odd, isn't it? That it's Jeremiah 33:3 that has this. Just ask God and I'll tell you. Like, maybe that's a joke throughout the numerology in that. It's kind of, maybe God's telling a joke there. It's kind of like, you want to become a 33-degree Mason and know nothing, or do you want to just ask me and I'll tell you? You know what I mean?
I think God has a sense of humor. So when you bring that up, I'm like, like it just, to me, that seems like God is like, here's the secret knowledge and it's hidden in a 33. Like, just ask me. That's it. It's that simple. Don't do the Shriner thing. Just ask me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So,
and I think, and then he gets into this idea of, how does God communicate with you and how does he show you these things? And it's a still quiet voice. It's a knowing, it's a pushing, it's a reveal, it's things, it all kind of comes together. And it's kind of like you end up being born again throughout the process. Right. And it's kind of like, I don't think you can know the truth until those scales have been dropped from your eyes and you have been humbled and you have been changed and you have been given this ability to take in information from a position of, I don't know.
You were talking about pride earlier, and I think that's actually kind of the first part, right? It's just like busting down our pride. And I think that the easiest and most simple way I always tell people is just be honest for 5 minutes. Quietly reflect on what you actually want and how gross and bad you are on the inside. And you'll kind of start to realize, oh, I suck. Like, I love everybody. I love lots and lots of people. There's not a single person that I have the highest respect for that would not sit there, look into their own heart and go, oh, I kind of suck. Like, I want to do bad things. I think bad thoughts. I was really crappy to that one person that one time I didn't have to be. And your pride just kind of starts to go and you realize, oh, I'm not actually good, mostly good. I'm not mostly good and getting better. I'm actually in a fallen state. And I think that's the first part of getting rid of pride, is just accepting the Genesis truth that we are in a fallen state.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think the Holy Spirit, its job is to make you feel really crappy when you keep doing bad things.
Yes. That's a gift, though, right? Is like, what's the word I'm looking for? Guilt. Guilt can be a gift. It can be used in all kinds of wrong ways, too. But guilt, like from the Holy Spirit, can absolutely be a gift.
It's conviction. It's like,
conviction, yeah.
Finally, like, because I know this. I've been telling it a lot in my own testimony, but it's kind of prior to the day I asked God to show me and humbly got down on my knees and said, I'm yours, show me, I don't know what I'm doing, help me, please. At the lowest point, it's kind of, I can't do it myself, I need you. One of those moments.
Yeah.
From that day, the conviction of the Holy Spirit was on me. And when I would light up a joint, feelings would be there that were never there before.
Right.
Guilt, shame, conviction. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? This is not what you should be doing. This is bad. It's kind of, but prior was like, nah, every seed-bearing plant and herb was there by God for man to use. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, why would God put it there if he didn't want us to use it? I was that guy, you know what I mean? It's kind of, but it's not like that. It's kind of like, yes, sure. but you're not using it for those purposes, are you? You're abusing it. It's that kind of thing. Finally,
it's funny.
I wasn't lying to myself anymore. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, Paul. Are you dying of cancer or have multiple sclerosis or Parkinson's? Like, do you have those issues? Like, you don't. You're just getting high. It's the different, But finally, it's like I couldn't lie to myself anymore. I couldn't delude myself anymore. You can't. You lose that capability to live in a lie.
Yeah.
It's kind of the truth is constantly being slapped over your face. It's kind of like, and you have to change to stop that conviction and that guilt from consuming you, the Holy Spirit. Well, it's like a fire that's burning away inside of you and getting rid of the crap. And it's painful and you struggle and you fight it, and it's kind of, that's how I found the process to be. And what these Gnostics are chasing after is nothing compared to just letting the Holy Spirit do its job. Right. It's something else, and that's where I went off. I interrupted you there. You go.
Oh, man. Everything you're saying, I agree with, man. People in the chat are saying we look like brothers. I wish I had your accent. Then it'd be even more difficult. No, I just agree with everything you're saying. It's refreshing to talk to someone about Gnosticism in this way, because I often feel like I'm the crazy person. I was in college at 19, 20 years old, something like that. And I took a class and it was all about Gnosticism. And I was like, well, I don't know what this is. I'm going to take this class. And ever since then, I was like, holy crap. I had no idea how much even Christians took Gnostic concepts just as whole truths. And then I started looking in the Bible. I'm like, where does it say this? Where does it say this? And it's like, it doesn't say those things anywhere. And I think we've just accepted so much of it. So it's been, oh gosh, I'm 33 now, which great number, right? For being a conspiracy theorist. So it's been like 14 years of this being a passion of mine of like, I want to expose this particular heresy because it's so pervasive. And even back then, I had no idea 14 years later how pervasive it would be in the field that I decided to go into and that I'm passionate about. So Gnosticism is one of those things I'm not going to be done talking about anytime soon. And I was saying this to you before the show, and maybe we could work on this together at some point or something. But in my especially in Real Conspiracies, I'll bring it up and I'll try to give as much context as I can for people. But I definitely want to have a series that people can look at where I can reference them back to be like, if you don't understand what I'm talking about with this, that's kind of an obsession of mine, is just being able to reference people to real good biblical truth and truth about Gnosticism and truth about certain things. So that's something I want to build on, is be able to, whenever I talk about it, be like, here's where you go to understand what you need to know about Gnosticism, why it's such a pervasive lie, and why it's taking over our culture. And then when I talk about the Matrix, people can kind of like be like, what is he saying with like Yaldabaoth? What does that mean? And what are the archons and all that stuff? So
yeah,
something I'm going to be working on soon.
I hope you do make something there so I can point people to it too, because I've not made that video. I've made videos of me just screaming into the air in anguish.
We all need those too, man. We all need those too.
But they're not like evidence based. No. They're emotional rants. They're not like, here's the facts sort of videos, you know what I mean? I know that. I never claimed for them to be that, but they think so they think it's some kind of win when they try and put me down about it. I'm like, yeah, I even say in the video, I'm not bringing any evidence today. I'm just I'm just angry, you know what I mean? Because it does get. And someone left a really good comment on there, which I appreciate. I think I pinned it. It says, if I was someone like Paul who had to deal with thousands of comments from Gnostics on a daily basis, I would make this video too. Exactly. Somebody said, and it's kind of like, because it does get.
We didn't do these a lot. Abby and I didn't do these a lot, but one of the funniest things we did do on our channel was we did this thing called fake people, real comments. It was just like, this comment is so retarded that it actually needs to be talked about. And we just talk about, like, we just read like some of the like really negative comments. It's like, I don't want to pick on everybody, but sometimes you kind of deserve to be picked on a little bit when you say something so stupid. And we didn't do it often, but it was kind of fun when we did. It was usually Gnostics too. It was usually those comments.
I've refrained from making those type of videos, but I do get the urge.
I might just be mean. I don't know.
Well, I have my Telegram group, which has got like 1,600 members now. It's getting out of hand, and I have my announcements tab, and people try and post stuff in there. I'm always deleting them. But what I do regularly post on there is when someone leaves that particularly odd comment. Yeah. I post it there in all its glory and just let people react. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's kind of, and I always notice some really odd things. Like I'm just gonna get up for the recent one, right? Just for fun here. Okay. And I'm not gonna read it all out, but it's just you notice things about these comments that makes you go, that's sus. That's really sus, you know. And like you're saying, like, are these really people? Like, who?
I know.
And a lot of my responses are like, who actually thinks like this? People, you know, that's usually my response. Like,
thinks is a strong word with some of the comments. I don't know if they did that part at all.
Well, for instance, I've got these adverts that people have watched at the start of this, you know, and I mentioned the word PPE, which is personal protective.
Oh yeah, personal protective equipment.
Yeah, and I'm talking, and I'm making it out as though this is all the PPE you need for Halloween, right? And it's a parody, it's a skit, it's an idea, it's concept that I'm comparing my stuff to the recent event that happened, where everyone had to wear masks, you know, but also this idea that Halloween is like a pathogen, it's a contagion. And the best PPE to keep you protected against seasonal cringe is this stuff, you know what I mean? And that's kind of the joke I'm going with. And someone leaves this odd comment, is like, he quotes me like, with this PPE, you're fully equipped and well protected. It's like, you know, you could have just stayed humble and said, with this, insert descriptively comical noun used wisely in conjunction with God's holy word, the Bible. Like, trying to put me down like I didn't mention the Bible, I'm putting myself above the Bible. It's like,
you can actually sell a book. Like, it's not a sin. I know some people might need to hear this. You are allowed to sell books, and it's not a sin.
But he's like, he says,
they're not the Bible.
But he literally says, it sounds to me like you're putting your own book on a higher pinnacle than is justified. And my response is, parody humor's lost on you, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
But then I looked closer, and the guy's name is Scully Bones 13. And I'm like, hang on. Like, you've named yourself Skull and Bones 13. Are you serious? It's kind of like, you have to wonder who the hell's actually leaving these ridiculous comments. Like, come on.
It's like, might as well call themselves like Nephi Nimrod or something.
That's what I mean. Like, it's like,
start criticizing.
like Lucifer Lover, like 666.
Lucifer Lover 69 or something.
It's like, why? You might as well. It's kind of, and then you realize a lot of it is just nonsense. It's fake. It's literally just people out there purposely leaving stupid comments that have no basis in the reality of the video, what was actually said, on purpose. And it's like, it's got to be AI bots mainly. I don't think there's actually people who have the time to make that type of comment. You know what I mean? And you
never know. I mean, I think that humor's lost on people in a way that it needs to come back. And that's why I love that your adverts are funny. And I love that, you know, you do these truther therapy sessions and we can kind of joke and laugh and make fun of things. I think that so often, you know, I've had people get really mad at me about making a joke during any topic. And it's not like even Epstein stuff. It could just be something like, I don't know, UFOs or whatever. And people just get so mad if you're not like dead set, like serious, staring to the camera. Like, are you not afraid? Are you not afraid enough of what's coming? You know, you just crack a joke. People get so mad. It's like, you guys need to laugh a little bit. You guys need to understand that, especially if you're coming to this as a Christian, like, I'd hope that you have enough faith that you can kind of laugh at the horrible things and kind of laugh at just how silly some of this stuff actually is. Like, even the true things are silly. Even the government's evil plans are kind of comic book silly when you think about it. And then at the end of the day, I still have faith in Christ and I still know how things are going to end. So like, it gives me that freedom to have a little bit more joy than doom and gloom. I would love to see more people crack a smile in the conspiracy community sometimes. And the comments that are like disparaging of that are always the most ridiculous to me personally.
Look, if
like, not getting your joke that it was like PPE, it's a joke.
Yeah, it's parody. Come on. This is what I mean. I'm starting to believe people are not that dense. Like,
I hope not. I really do hope not. I hope it's AI. I truly do hope it's just AI bot comments.
They're just trying to drain your energy and direction and attention. You know, they want you to focus and reply and comment. Take the bait, because they know what they said is ridiculous, just to waste your time and to exacerbate you. And it's not really for me either. That comment is for the people who are going to see it. It's for the other viewers to just take away that maybe Paul is putting himself above the Bible with his book. It's kind of like, I'm not selling the gospel. I'm selling my theory based on the aesthetics of demons. It's not like, in what point have I ever pinnacly said, I'm greater than Jesus? Like, right. In fact, that's the forward written by yours truly. You know, no, it's not. It's like, no one really thinks like that. So I've had this I've had this episode. I think I made even a Q&A or a therapy session about this idea that am I being trolled by AI? Like, is it getting to this point now where like 50% of my comments even real people anymore? And I used to be against the whole NPC stuff, which again, it's a Gnostic, a Gnostic idea.
It is a Gnostic concept, but it's still, you still have to wonder a little bit. Like, I would in the Gnostic concept, NPCs don't even have souls. They literally can't be saved. All of that stuff. But I still have to wonder if some people are just that, like, I don't even know what the word is, asleep, just like brain dead, that they just are walking, meat puppets, that like they have a soul. They could, but they've just chosen, like, through their own choices. I think they've just become an NPC, maybe.
Comparable to something like an NPC, but still made in God's image and human, can be saved.
I'm just saying, like, I think it's a choice to get there. Is my point.
It has to be. You've just fully given into the persona rather than who you are in God's image. You've given into who you are, dictated by the world. That's how I define an NPC, as opposed to, because I think God made you and had a plan for you, and it's kind of like, he knows who you really are, and he wants you to live up to the potential of what you could be. And it's it's up to us whether or not we want to go with his plan or we want to do it our way. And he gives you the choice, free will. Right. And it's kind of like, but the world has a plan for you too. Satan has a plan for you. And it's kind of like, you can be what he wants you to be instead. And you can be what the world defines you as, and you can identify with worldly things and give yourself that title, whatever the world says you must be, and people identify with all sorts of things, people identify with the illnesses, people identify with the sexuality, or people identify and make their entire self about a particular topic or a fandom or whatever. They create this person they think they are based on what the world's, but really God had an image for you already. And I think the more you go into the world, the more NPC-ish you end up becoming. The more you distance yourself from God's plan mapped out for you, the closer you are to something akin to a programmed entity in the machine, basically. You know what I mean? With no thought of yourself.
Well, I mean, you kind of said it a second ago. I think especially fandoms can be really toxic when it's like, that is my personality now. Because what you're essentially doing is you're giving up your free will to put it on autopilot for something else to control it. Whatever the next episode of the show you like is, or the next season, and however that goes, and wherever that goes is where you're going to go. Like in all ways, in the way that you think about things, and the way you respond to things, and the way you look and dress and all that. Like, you're just basically turning yourself on autopilot. So again, I think it's a choice. I don't think NPCs the way the Gnostics do, that people are born without souls and therefore whatever. But I do think people choose it. I think people choose to just put themselves on a track, and it just carries them along, and they're just along for the ride, and they've just like receded into their shell, essentially, if that makes sense. Like, the soul's there, the spirit's there. It's just taking a back seat to something else and just letting that drive.
What's that famous saying? People will trade freedom for security, but those who do that deserve neither, or something like that. Is that the round?
That's basically it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what people have done. They've given over. I don't want to have to think. So I'm going to let the program do my thinking for me, in a way. And this is what the Gnostics want to tell you God is trying to do to you. He wants you to be a drone for him, preaching the gospel and sticking to the program and never having any free individual thought, or something like that, like a cult member. That's what they try and spin God as, like, you're going to be a cult member, like one of those Christians are, But the truth is, it's inverted. Like, when you actually find your identity in God, you are a true individual as he intended you to be, doing what you were supposed to do as your own thing, like your full potential, I think God gives you a bit of creative license as well while you're at it. You know what I mean? It's
100%, 100%. I think that's one of the mistakes that people look at when it comes to Christianity, is they think, okay, God, put me on a track. I want to step back and let you drive entirely. And it's like, God created you, I believe, to live out something that only you can live out if you're living within his will. And if living within his will is following, living the way that God wants you to live. I don't think it fully means like, all right, God, I want your will in my life. So I want to make no decisions. I want to have no responsibilities. Like, literally, when I wake up, I want to hear your voice in my head tell me which breakfast cereal to pick. Like, I seriously think that's where some people think that God is. They want to become an NPC in that way. And what the Bible says is that I came to give you life more abundant. And to me, that's like higher highs, lower lows, bigger struggles, bigger successes. Like life is more. Life is not the NPC meme.
Mm-hmm.
It is like it's everything. Life is vibrant. Life is full. It's full of color. It's all those things. That's the Christian life as I've experienced it. As someone who's been in the church since I was a baby. So it's not the NPC life. I think that a lot of new Christians sometimes think that that's what it's going to be, and that it scares them away from it, but it's just not true.
No, you've basically just signed up to be involved in a spiritual war, and you've just joined the military, in a way.
Yes.
You've just been sent to the front lines in a spiritual war. Yeah. That's what you've signed up for. And again, it comes with huge successes and massive losses as well. It's like it's brutal. And it's you're there to be a light in the world, otherwise surrounded by darkness, and people will try and extinguish that light who don't want to be exposed. That's the issue, so it's a struggle, it's a battle, and it comes with, again, like I said, but the promise of the world is will numb you to all pain, will protect you, will keep you away from it all. You just go live in your pod, watch your TV shows, put your virtual headset on, we'll supply all the food for you and all the nourishment that you need and all that sort of stuff, and you never have to confront anything or leave the house or deal with phone calls or people or whatever. We'll keep you in a bubble and protected. We'll keep you safe.
It's why I hate that. Like I often think that there's a lot of cultural movements that are just not natural. They come from somewhere, right? They're pushing an idea on us. It's programming. And one of the programmings that has bothered me for years is like, oh, I don't want to adult today. I don't #adulting. I don't want to do that. It's like, you're just telling everybody, and you're just accepting that someday the nanny state is going to take care of you. You want to be a kid, and guess what? Your mom ain't around anymore, or you moved out. So who's going to be your mom? Your mom's going to be the government. It's going to be the state. And they are eventually, if that's your whole idea, is adulting is so bad, and having to make decisions is so bad, and having to fight for things is so rough. You probably will eventually go, you know what though? This pod is pretty warm. It's got all the VR I could ever want, and all the video games and all the movies and all the nourishment, and I can get high, and you're just going to live in the pod. You just will be like the way that the Gnostics think, that the God is farming people in those big pods like you see in the Matrix. Like eventually that's just what you'll be for the government. You'll just be part of a human farm.
And then the Gnostics will feel vindicated that they were right all along, Yeah.
They'll be the ones to do it, and then they'll still, exactly.
See, I told you, we're just being harvested in pods. It's just like the Matrix, man. And it's kind of, so it's kind of like, that's a case of life emulating art in that situation.
Yeah, it is, it is though, isn't it?
And it's kind of sad because then there's no real truth in the Matrix narrative. It's like I say, it's like that 98% truth kind of with the 2% lie. That just taints everything. You know what I mean? So people talk about, like, especially in the psychedelic community, which I've come from and I write a lot about in my book, they pierce through the veil of reality. They basically, what's the word? Is it a DDoS attack? DDoS attack. They're basically doing that to your own brain, basically, and you're just flooding open the information gates, and all the information is coming all at once. You're crashing the brain with information, because normally let's just say our pupils are an example. They're limited, and I've just realized what I'm doing in my hand here. Sorry, guys, I'm making a point about pupils. Okay, they're small, but when you get high, they get dilated. They get bigger. Okay, because you let in more light, which therefore is more information. So you get this effect where it's like fisheye effect, and you see more of the room. It suddenly seems really far away. You know what I mean? And you see every corner at once because your pupils are so wide that you're no longer just like pinpoint focus like we normally are. You've broadened that view, and then things start getting weird. You start seeing patterns that you wouldn't ordinarily see. You start seeing through things, and then before you know it, you're in a psychedelic realm. And it's because more information just keeps coming in. And what you usually end up taking away from that, if you're godless and haven't got any perspective to understand, is it's not real, man. Reality is an illusion. Nothing's real. It's all fake. You know what I mean? It's kind of, you end up with that worldview of, it's a matrix. You know what I mean? It's just like, it might feel real, it might taste real, man, but I've seen through it, I've seen through the veil. This isn't really even here. It's all just, it's all like an illusion, And then you end up watching the Matrix, so you have that programming from childhood. It's kind of like, I'm trapped in a prison world, I'm trapped in my body, how do I get out of this thing? I'm a spirit trapped in a flesh prison, you know what I mean? And it's kind of, none of that's true. Okay, so yeah, sure.
Also, the spiders are everywhere at that point, crawling all over
you.
Yeah.
People do go to those extremes in thought. The conclusions are, it's the Matrix, it's an illusion, it's not real. And it's kind of like, from the Christian perspective, I'm like, no, that's God's creation you're talking about, and you should feel blessed that you have a body within it and can experience it. It's like, it's not that it's not real necessarily. Define real. Even like, it's kind of, it is God's creation. Like, you just saw that it's a created thing. It's got code, it's a creation, it's got design elements to it because God made it. It's kind of, doesn't mean it's bad or that you're trapped here. It's that you exist, you have life, and you're in it. Like, that's what you discovered, really, you know. But and then some psychedelic trippers do get that conclusion, though. They do realize, like, wow, it's real, and here I am, you know. But some people end up going down that other path, and they're being like siphoned into that Matrix Gnostic worldview through drugs, through these experiences, and that's the problem with it. You know, that's the argument that the drug itself isn't bad. It's how people make you interpret the experience that is where you're open up to these issues, you know, which is why you shouldn't do these things to begin with.
Well, I mean, that's why programming is the thing. Like, I think it's so important. Like, again, when I'm talking about movies, people often ask me like, oh, you're going to ruin this movie for me. I like this movie. And it's like, look, I get that it's all propaganda, but I enjoy the propaganda for what it is. So my whole purpose in doing this is like, I'm a fan of movies, but I also think it's important to point out the programming, because when it happens enough, you know, it's like Chinese water torture with the same concept. And sometimes I worry I'm boring people because I'm like, here's a Gnostic movie, here's a Gnostic movie, here's a Gnostic movie, or this one's MK Ultra, and all of these are about MK Ultra, and all of these are about this. But the point is that they're programming you to view God a certain way, to view your fellow man a certain way. They really are they're changing your myths. They're changing the things, the archetypes in your mind that you're going to instantly make those connections. You're going to go, oh, this is what I should think about that. And people think, oh, it's just a movie. It's just that. It's just whatever. It's like they really underestimate how the repeated stereotype or the repeated concept, especially one that you emotionally link to, which is what makes movies so perfect. How that really does make you think about the next thing a certain way. So the whole idea, the whole reason that we think that we're living in a Matrix doesn't just come from the movie The Matrix. It comes from it goes back honestly to, I can't think of his name right now. He wrote Did Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which became Blade Runner, and he wrote Total Recall. Philip K. Dick, like, he really set the groundwork for what the Matrix could eventually capitalize on. And if you read his personal correspondence with one of his friends, he actually tells how all of his books, if you put them in a certain order, are all the Gnostic Gospels in a certain order. And they tell a Gnostic tale from beginning to end. And he's very, very detailed about what he meant and what it was all about. So yeah, this stuff happens over a long period of time, and it happens with us repeatedly getting the same images and the same messages over and over. So people, I think that's one thing everybody, even in the conspiracy community, needs to realize. We've all been programmed, like all of us. We all are susceptible to deception, delusion, to things like that. And once we can recognize that in ourselves, I think it was a little bit easier to find the truth going forward, by knowing that we can be deceived.
Oh yeah,
you know I
mean? That's what the truther journey actually is. It's basically learning where you've been lied to. That's what we do. That's what we're basically sifting through everything we believe and trying to find out where was the lie. You know, and that's hard. It's hard to figure out some of those things. And we probably, like I said, a lot of us have identified with a lot of lies. And it's difficult. And you were talking there about the influences for the Matrix, and I think one of them, which you didn't mention, maybe you have mentioned in the show, I'm not sure, was it I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream? You remember that one?
Yes, and I had it in my notes when I did the Matrix episode, and then forgot to bring it up, because that whole scene when they're in the interrogation room, exactly.
I was just thinking about that, and I remembered, oh yeah, that's exactly like the concept, because people that haven't seen it, I can't remember the author's name, but it's the idea that there's a future world where humanity's been utterly destroyed by an AI. There's nothing left. And it was a computer that was created that saw that humanity was just awful. It is like, you are the problem. You are the reason this world is going to die. And it basically just kills everybody. but it keeps alive like four people, four humans, like the essence, the soul in a way. And he has completely taken over the whole Earth in like a biomechanical method through reproduction of his consciousness. And he's basically like God. He is God basically now, and he can make anything appear in any way at any moment he wants, and he can literally morph people's bodies into any shape he wants whenever he wants to. He has full atomic control of like the very base level, quantum level of reality on every scale. But his pure hatred towards humans, the way he entertains himself is by torturing these same four humans for eternity. That's basically what this AI does for fun.
Yeah.
Just to keep himself occupied. And he makes them relive the worst psychological traumas over and over again.
It's almost like AI. We've always known that AI was kind of demonic.
Yeah. But that's
right.
but that's a Gnostic view that we are trapped here in our flesh prisons by an evil creator God who controls everything and every aspect of our lives. And he is cruel and vindictive towards us and just wants to torture us and make us suffer. Do you know what I mean? And use us for his own purpose. It's just another spin on the Gnostic take, and you can definitely see in the Matrix the influences were put in there from that old film as well. And like I said, the whole do robots dream of electric sheep or something? Was that the
that one was turned into Blade Runner. Book and the movie are quite a bit different, but the
sad thing is all these authors making these dystopic futures warning us about artificial intelligence, and what did we go and do? We went and made artificial intelligence.
Every week now. I mean, 2024 has been insane. I feel like every single week I'm yelling at something on my computer going, did you not watch the movies? Like, did you see what was the most recent one? They're like, okay, yeah, we saw Jurassic Park. And when they cloned dinosaurs, they didn't do it right. So we're cloning dinosaurs and we're putting them in a park, but we'll have better electric fences or some BS like that. And I'm like, you guys just don't learn. It's like you watch Terminator and you go, what if we created Skynet, but maybe we just like threw in an extra safety feature so people are cool with it? Or, what if we created that? And I'm like, you guys don't. I swear these nerds, they watch these movies for inspiration instead of the warning. Like they're not learning the lesson. Like this is the sign of wisdom, is if you can learn from someone else's mistake and go, oh yeah, I saw that, I don't want to do that person's mistake. And then you've got all these nerds with a lot of power and no wisdom, and they're just like, what if I just created Jurassic Park and Terminator in like one thing, and it's like Skynet runs Jurassic Park, and that would solve everything.
Just for fun. It's like just because we can type of thing.
Yeah,
but it makes you think like, okay, it's likely not that, because we're not that stupid. No one's that stupid, right? Most people.
I'd hope not.
Most people heed warnings like that. Like I have no mouth and I must scream. You read that, you do not then have the urge to go and create AI. I'm sorry. Like when you witness that story, it's kind of like, okay, well, I'm definitely never creating that thing. That's definitely a warning worth heeding. But it makes you realize that they're actually. These books are programming for what they've already planned to come in the future anyway, more than likely.
Oh, I agree with that.
It was preparing people for the concept that is going to appear, because we've probably already got it by that point. They probably already had the technology when these early 90s books came out talking about these concepts. I mean, DARPA is like 50 years ahead of what we think they are. Absolutely. And which,
if you read it, like whenever they declassify something, you look at it and it's like, this happened in 1975. And it's like, I would be shocked if that would happen today. Like that should terrify people. Like my favorite example is in the 70s, the CIA or DARPA or whatever created a dragonfly camera, flying camera, and it looks like a dragonfly. You can actually read about this on the CIA website. It looks like a dragonfly. It's the exact size of a dragonfly. It's autonomous, means it doesn't need a remote control, and it can fly and spy. In the 70s, like I'd be shocked like a little bit if that came out today. And it's like, so if they did that in 75, what do they have? Like that's why I agree with you. It's programming, right? Because they already have the tech. They're basically like, we have it. How do we implement it into society? We have to spoon feed them the concept until they become comfortable with it, until they know what to do with it. So maybe they watch people using tablets on Star Trek for a long time, and then we give you the tablets. You already instinctively, like a monkey, been trained how to use the damn thing.
That's a great example, isn't it? Actually, the whole Star Trek like flip phone thing. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
One thing I need to show you, because you've just reminded me. I took a screenshot of this because I knew I would lose it and get buried in many things. is this idea that it's just all pre-programming, all these old films.
Yeah.
And recently, obviously, Elon Musk been in the news quite a lot over the past like 2 weeks. He has this not only after his odd jumping up and behind Trump with his arms in the air scenario, whatever the hell that was, with his black hat. Suddenly he's in the news again, and he's done We Robot event where he's showcasing all these new technologies. And I don't know if you've seen any of that. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But I just need to find where my screenshots are on my phone to show you this. But it turns out, I did this on one of my talks. The guy who made iRobot, the film with Will Smith.
Yeah, Isaac Asimov.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something?
He was screaming on Twitter how Elon, get your own ideas, and he's angry because he's basically just ripped straight from his film all of his concept designs for his own robots and cars and vans. And I need to get this image. I don't know where my screenshots are, but it's identical. Like they put them next to each other, and it's kind of like he has just stolen everything. Like he has stolen everything straight from
let's be honest.
iRobot.
I know everybody really loves Elon Musk right now, but if you really study his history is basically stealing things from people.
That's right. That's
Just saying.
Let me see if I can. I've got it here on the screen. You might not be able to see it. I'm not sure. Maybe if you go over to the actual.
I'll just pull it ahead on YouTube.
Yeah, and it'll come up on the screen, no doubt. Let me see what people see there. Yeah, it's over your face right now. So you pull up on YouTube, you actually watch the video, you can see side by side the exact images from iRobot, and then he makes his own showcase called We Robot. So it's kind of...
Oh, geez. Not even trying to hide where his inspiration came from.
No, but there's 20 years between these films. Yeah. Between these events, 20 years.
Right.
They're laughing at us. Mm-hmm. They are laughing at us, and we're supposed to think oh, look at us, we're in on the joke. The guy who made iRobot is laughing at Elon Musk because he stole his ideas. Ha ha ha! Isn't this all funny? How cool and whatever. It's no, this isn't a joke. They're telling you,
right?
Guys, we always plan to release this technology. You've just,
but we're also like a generation that's so in love with nostalgia for the sake of nostalgia that when this stuff happens, instead of cueing us in a little bit that maybe they're planning ahead, maybe they're programming us, what our idea is now is, oh, isn't that nostalgic? Doesn't that remind me of this cool thing from the 90s, And I think that when you look at this, part of me, because I've been programmed, wants to look at this and go, oh, that's so cool. It's just like the stuff I watched in movies as a kid, instead of taking the further implication of what that actually means.
Well, this is what I mean. Yeah, nostalgia is a powerful tool, I find.
It is. Yeah.
It's a weapon. You should be.
It has been used as a weapon. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. If you ever feel nostalgic about something, you should stop and pause for a second and go, wait a minute, why is this suddenly happening?
Why?
Who's using this against me? It's it happens all the time with music. I've noticed.
It's the drug of choice of the millennials, dude. Nostalgia is how they get us to do everything. It might as well be the carrot on the stick for us to just follow along.
In the music industry, they know there's money to be made in nostalgia, which is why literally every 10 years the same song gets remixed or remade or with a brand new spin or something like that. And they're trying to, because I'm 32 now, and we're the same age. And I'm getting to that age now.
It's funny. I just got to point this out. My name is actually Paul. But
I know. It's odd, isn't it? I know. It's very odd, isn't it? Yeah. Clearly, there's some way back somewhere. There's some lineage connection, perhaps. I don't know. But anyway, you'll recognize this is happening in your era now. And people of a similar age who are older than us will already have gone through this. But it's I'm hearing songs I used to hear when I was young, remixed now on the radio, being resung or rehashed in some way and presented as brand new. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And definitely my generation of people are listening to this going, oh wow, nostalgia's hitting us, you know what I mean? But then I'm somebody who decodes things, and so are you, and you listen to the lyrics of these songs, it's kind of it was just too good of a programming song for them to waste. So they have to rehash it and release it again to get that programming back into people. And it's usually Gnostic programming about, you're a god, screw all the haters, rise above, all the symbolisms in there, you know what I mean? About being your own,
it's basically all Ariana Grande music is just women, you can be your own gods.
Yeah. And you can tell that that's what they do there, and they're using it not only to brainwash a new generation, but to rope back in the other generation.
It's a good point, though.
But I guess with movies, they're always doing it. They're always re-releasing the same movie every like 10 years. You know, they're always doing a reboot of something over and over and over again because it's just too good of a weapon. And they're playing on
too good of a story. Yeah, it's too good of a programming moment for sure.
Exactly.
And if you can, basically the way I always say it too is like sometimes with the movies, what they'll do is they didn't have a strong enough programming, whatever going on in the original. So they'll use the nostalgia, the carrot on the stick for our generation who are now have kids who are 10 years old. And then we take our kids to go see the Ghostbusters remake or some BS. And then you watch it and you're like, oh, nostalgia, that's my drug. And then for the kid, they're getting like brainwashed into this new whatever thing they want to push on your kid. And you're getting brainwashed into it as well. And it's just a way to get you to willingly bring your children to the programming.
Oh, yeah.
And to not care that they're programming and not even notice it because you're just on that nostalgia drug. Your brain's getting those dopamine hits, so you don't care the messaging that's getting pushed on your kid because you're there for yourself. To be honest, it is a very selfish thing that we're doing when we're taking our kids. I love this as a kid. Come with me. I don't care what they're pushing on you, but that's exactly what they're doing.
It's funny because obviously I've got children as well. I've got a toddler, and you know, we try to limit screen time as much as possible. To be honest, it's and what we do choose to let them watch, we're very meticulous. Meticulous.
No, I'm same way.
And we found like the older stuff that we used to watch as a kid that can still stand the test of time today. Actually, it's actually some of it's all right. It was before the programming was bad. You know what I mean? The early 90s stuff. You know, it wasn't. And for example, my kid loves Bob the Builder.
Okay.
Right, and it's I'm talking like the old British version that went on for like 20 seasons in like from like 97 to like 2005 or something like that. And what I'm rewatching it and I'm getting nostalgic a little bit, you know what I mean? But I'm watching, I'm like, there's nothing in this. There's no programming. Right. It's actually free from it. Like I'm watching it, I'm like, it's literally just about friendship and teamwork.
Which is weird to find anymore. Like it's so rare.
Very and a few like jokes in there which adults will understand, but they're not dirty or rude. They're just more about like what it's like to be an adult surrounded by kids type of jokes. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of, and it's like this was made in like 96 or something. And it's like even I today as a parent can appreciate this. This is good. It's clean. And I haven't even dared to look at the reboot. There's a reboot where it's all like 3D graphics or something, and it's still going on today. And they've added like an extra. I swear down, I need to look into this, but I think off the top of my head they've added a black character, as in a black digger of some kind or machine, and it's kind of like and I'm not and not that there's anything against that or black people, that's not what I'm saying here, but it's kind of like
they got to be careful which farm tool they make it though, because that can come off as really
there's kind
bad.
of like there's like agendas like this SJW agenda, you could tell it was at the height of all that type of thing, you know, and I don't know, maybe there's also like a differently abled version in there as well, like I don't know, you know, but it's like it's fine that like the representation's fair enough, but you know when it's being done in a disingenuous way. They're doing it to forward a particular idea or concept or agenda. They're not
because
doing it
because at the end of the day, it's not because they actually want diversity or because they want inclusion. It's because they want to create white guilt. I mean, that's what it is. Exactly. They want you to feel bad. They want other people to feel empowered. They want to stir race tensions. Yeah, it's actually it's so genius the way they do it though, is because they can go, oh, so you're against inclusion of other races, you're a racist. But what they're ultimately doing is that they're stoking the fires of racism. They're stoking the fires of division, and then they're getting you to feel bad for noticing it, because a lot of people don't have the words or the arguments or want to deal with, you know, fighting off all the other programmed idiots who are just like, this is good, you know.
But I see it's bait to try and get channels like me to talk about it.
Yeah, because that's the thing too, right?
It's like, and I'm like, I'm not interested in any of it.
It's
like,
banning bait too.
It's
like,
stupid.
How can we get you canceled? How can we get you to talk about it and focus on this and stoke division and whatever? Yeah,
it's funny you say ban bait, because my chat just disappeared.
Like, did it really?
It's actually just vanished. Let me just. I've got to triple check. Let me just.
I'm seeing it personally.
You're seeing it. No, on OBS. Yeah. OBS, it's just shut down. It's just vanished.
Well, there's OBS for you.
Well, it could just be that, you know, the technology's crap. Yeah, it could be that as well. It's not. Well, actually, shout out to OBS for free software. It's pretty good, actually. I'm not gonna lie.
Amazing for free software, but yeah, we've all pulled our hair out trying to use it, so that's for sure.
Absolutely. But I am just double checking. I'm still live through YouTube right now, just because we crossed the boundary a little bit there, guys. We got to be careful. We shouldn't have probably. I might have to mute that out later in the editing process.
I'm good at crossing boundaries. So.
This isn't Rumble. We're not on Rumble right now.
I know.
Well, yeah, the live chat's still there. It's all good. That's fine. I'll just pause that so it doesn't ruin my bandwidth. But the point is they're using nostalgia, like I said, to rehash old shows, and but they're always updating the agenda. They're always updating the presentation of the show with the latest current thing of brainwashing, whatever that is. It wouldn't surprise me, if there's going to be a new Matrix reboot in the future.
It wouldn't surprise me either. And again, like one of the episodes I did was the Lego movie, and the Lego movie is here's nostalgia for the parents, and it literally. I didn't do a breakdown like this one, but there's a scene for scene like breakdown someone did of how it's the Matrix movie for kids, and it's incredible. I mean, it is literally every single thing that happens in the Matrix happens in the exact same order in the Lego movie. You just don't notice it if you're not looking for what it is. Yeah. So there's that. I mean, it's not exactly the same, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they had a Matrix reboot, especially after the fourth one was such a disappointment. Like it was just everybody hated it, and they're like, maybe it's time to reboot it now. Have you noticed that it used to be we'd reboot a movie that was 30 or 40 years old, and now it's just like that movie was 10 years old. They did a reboot of Mean Girls, which came out when I was in high school.
Why?
It's like 15 years ago.
Why? What was wrong?
I have no idea.
I mean,
they even have some of the same exact actors from the original playing the same exact roles, yet it's a reboot. I can't make sense. I'm not going to watch it, but I just saw the trailer and I was like, that literally makes no sense.
I mean, I've seen Mean Girls maybe more times in my life than I'd like to admit.
I've got sisters too.
You know what I mean?
I've seen it. Yeah.
It always crops up every now and then for some reason when you just interact with humans and have friends.
Sure.
Like it always comes up and is always played for some reason somewhere. And I've seen it a few times, and it was pretty timeless. Like it didn't need to be injected into a new era or anything. Like I think any generation could watch it and understand what's going on without. Sure that the phones might be a different shape, but they're still phones. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know. It's kind of. I don't think it needed a reboot necessarily. Well, maybe it's just all money. A lot of it's money and nonsense as well, and cheap Netflix rebrandings and all these type of things as well. But the Lego movie, I do want to watch your take and all that because I have watched that a few times.
I still love the Lego movie, by the way. It was funny because I was watching it with my wife, and we were both like, "This seems like so." Sweet and innocent, and it seems devoid of like a lot of the pushing certain agendas on kids. And she's like, how are you covering this on your show tomorrow? And I'm like, do you want me to tell you? Do you not want me to tell you? And she's like, okay, tell me. And then she I kind of made her mad a little bit. I'm like, I still like the movie, babe. I'm just telling you what it very obviously is. Like it very obviously is this thing.
Because I'm thinking about it now, like, and obviously you've got the father who, spoilers, everybody, the father who the father who owns the Lego set. He's
the creator, the man upstairs.
He's the man upstairs, the creator, the god, and then you have the child who is kind of playing with the people, the set, and making the thing happen and creating the world technically. But it's kind of like he's the real creator of the world, but the real god is evil, and it's all kind of
you got it exactly. I mean, it's way deeper than that, but that's definitely how it ends. Is you've got this little Jewish boy who's playing with the set, who's waking up the Legos to the reality. And then you've got the man upstairs, the father. So it's very clearly Jesus and God, and Yaldabaoth and them. They're at odds with each other. And there's even the woman who wakes him up literally there's a Garden of Eden scene where he takes a forbidden red shiny thing, and the person who leads him there is named Lucy, like Lucifer. It's really on the nose when you realize what it is, but it's there.
Now you've said it all. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember all of that. Like, yeah, exactly. But at the time, it's kind of like. I think I'm jaded. Yeah. It's like
I know.
I've watched it. I'm like more of the same. You know what I mean? It's like, but at the same time, I can appreciate. There's some good humor in it. It has some funny moments. There's a hero's journey thing going on. There's a whatever. It's entertainment, isn't it? It's there just to keep your attention focused away for a little bit. But it's kind of like we don't. I suppose we forget because we see the signs. but you kind of do forget the subtle influence that can have on the mind who doesn't know.
Well, that's what I said in the episode. Is I'm like, if you don't think about this, right, is like what you're getting over and over and over and over and over again is this view of God. You're being spoon fed a little bit at a time. Well, what if the person who created your world wasn't perfect? What if he, actually wanted to do awful things and was just using you? And it's always the what if, and what if maybe this knowledge in the garden was good. It's all there, and it's like it's just drips. It's an inception, right? It's just like, let's spin the top in the safe and leave it there and see if that idea germinates and ruminates and becomes a fully fledged idea down the road. And that's what they're doing with the programming. It doesn't have to beat you over the head. It's easy to go, yeah, whatever, they said that thing, but it's not a big deal. But when the culture is repeatedly kind of whispering in your ear, what if the God that created the universe is not actually good? What if Satan is actually the good guy? Like, when you hear it enough, you start to question. And when you don't have a strong Christian upbringing, you've really read the Bible and sought it out for yourself, it's inevitable for me to think that's actually working. I mean, I'm just looking at the culture. It is working. Like, we all kind of recognize that it's working, I'd hope. Like, the culture's going to crap. The world, we're not really a Christian nation. I'm speaking from America. I know, I don't know how things are over there exactly, but like, America, growing up, seemed like we were in a Christian nation. And now I don't think anybody would actually really call us that anymore.
I don't think we were ever truly Christian in Britain.
No, I don't think we were either.
Saying that, we are.
I get what you mean.
We are. I get comments from people saying, well, I was raised Christian just fine. We pray every day and I'm in Britain. But the England I know, it's kind of like the churches are shutting down. They're empty. Yeah. And these are glorious, beautiful Gothic buildings. They're not being filled with people. They're empty and they're decaying and they're being boarded up, and it's, you're when the older generations die, there's no one really to replace them in those churches that you do have left. Like, not enough people. And I'm seeing that in England a lot, and also the church is a tool to help you get your child into the right school in England. You got to be a member of the church that's affiliated with the primary school. And it's like, it becomes a whole political thing, and
it can be like that in certain parts of America too.
Yeah.
With certain like Catholic schools, you've got to, be in the right school and whatever. And there's a lot of people who are raised Catholic just because it was a good school. And then they end up resenting God and kind of moving away from it.
There's a lot more Catholic influence in England than there is in America as well, I think.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Way more in England.
It's all pretty much Catholic run.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then obviously have the Church of England, which is just a joke. It's not even a church, really. It's just a political...
It's a political institution.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's I get my church online right here, right now, with someone like you or with the people on my own channel, and we have our own fellowship and we have our ways, and we're all the body of Christ, and we are the temple of God. And I don't believe we need the building personally, but that's, people argue with me.
I'm there with you, man.
People argue with me about that, and I'm not saying there isn't any need for an actual church. I believe there is, and I think Acts makes that clear, and, it's all there. And I agree, the church is necessary, but I don't feel like we're getting it from the buildings and institutions around today. That's a whole other thing. But in England, it's religion's like a thing you keep to yourself.
Yeah.
You don't talk about politics or religion. It's not the done thing.
I think that's one of the most harmful things we ever did. Like I was raised, I wasn't personally raised that way, but I remember the 90s, that being the message, that was the programming, right? Was you don't talk politics and religion at the dinner table. You don't talk politics and religion at work. You don't. And now we're at a point where if we do, because it's imperative that we do talk politics, for example, we're at each other's throats. We actually literally don't know how to debate. We don't know how to disagree, and we don't know how to find the truth because we've all just stayed in those things and just become angry, and we don't know how to talk about them anymore. And I think it's like, for me, I never understood it. The two most important things are, who's leading you, maybe, like in a political sense, like that is very important, and who is leading you in a spiritual sense was the most important. Like, who do you worship? Who do you serve at the end of the day? And the fact that we kind of got psyoped into don't talk about the two most important things that are going to make the most impact on your life is just wild to me. My family was weird though. We talked politics at the dinner table like every night. It was we were just kind of like that. So politics and religion were like our two things we talked about.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've always been the type of person who wanted to talk about those type of things, and those people do exist. But it's just in Britain, it's not really like it's like oh, why do you want to go and talk about that? Can't we just talk about something else? It's kind of like, and you're not going to argue with each other about it. It's kind of like, just come on. Can we have some fun? Do we have to talk about politics? It's kind of like, we just don't bother. It's kind of like, just leave that to your online forums. Don't bring that to my home. It's that type of attitude. It's like, mate, I'm here to have a drink. I've come to the pub to relax after work. I don't want to talk about the election. It's kind of like, we just don't bother. But I feel like there's a slightly different culture in America where it's like, it's almost encouraged to show your allegiance on your lawn with your picket fence type thing.
Now it is,
you know what I mean? And it's kind of, we just do not do that. And people who do, we look at them, it's like, oh, shut up. Like, shut up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, leave it out. You know what I mean? Like, do we have to do that? Like, keep it to yourself. You know what I mean? It's a British thing. It's a cultural thing, you know. But I think there are people who are of the faith and Christian in Britain. We are fundamentally a Christian country, you know, and like I said, the churches are everywhere. You can't turn around a corner without finding a church, you know. But I feel like it's lost whatever it should have been. Maybe it was something once upon a time, but it's not there anymore. It's not there. And I have this phrase. I think I've said it to you guys last time you were on my show. It's like, nobody does Christianity quite like an American. Like, you guys have a different passion for it it's louder. It's prouder. It's like, it's powerful type of Christianity, you know, and it's just, I don't know. I kind of wish it was like that a little bit. Like, I'm an absolute weirdo freak to most people in Britain. I am.
I'm
like,
sure,
if like most people who would find out what I talk about and my faith and my belief, I feel like my generation in Britain, especially, are very much Richard Dawkins' atheistic mindset. I'm a lunatic by their standards. I am an absolute backwards caveman.
Well, I was gonna say you're
lunatic.
a Neanderthal, right?
I am exactly.
Yeah.
I am just an absolute nut job who just possibly needs to be sectioned and silenced, and is perhaps a cult leader now. You know what I mean? That's how they would see it. They would have no other way of perceiving.
You got your own book now. I mean, you're halfway there.
You know, they have no reason to perceive what I do as logical. They don't. They just don't have a context to understand it. So it's like, he's clearly just insane. Like, that's how British people view it. And it's funny because my viewership is like 98% American. Like,
it doesn't surprise me, to be honest. Yeah,
like they're all,
that makes a lot of sense.
And to my British people out there, thank you. You know, I appreciate it. But in my book sales, for example, it's like 5% Britain. And I'm British, and I'm a British author. It's like they're not interested, and they're the harshest critics as well. The worst reviews from, like, it's because they're just it's like, oh, shut up, Paul. Get it? Like, what are you rambling on about now? You know what I mean? But it's a completely different culture. It's well, especially when it comes to Christianity, we are worlds apart, and I'm thankful for the American Christians I get to talk to. I really have, because it's kind of, I can't get this anywhere. I can't find a church in England where I can get this.
This is why I agree with you. Like, I'm blessed right now to have found, after a long time of searching, to have found an actual church that I can go to on Sunday and feel like I'm getting something that I really need. But the biggest boon I don't even know the words to put, the biggest growth in my spiritual journey has been with people online over the last couple of years. I constantly encourage people, like, to find people that you can really talk to, and to do Bible studies, to do discipleship together, to fellowship. Like, those things are more important, I think, than, well, I made sure I went to the right building at the right time on the right day of the week. I think if you have a group of 5 people in a Discord or whatever, and you're just reading the Bible and chatting as men or as women or whatever, I think that is more along the lines of discipleship for most people, especially like where you said, where you can't find a church. I've moved a lot, and I've had a hard time finding a good church anywhere, even in America today. So, and the church I grew up in is corrupt beyond all reasoning. You know what I mean? It's just sad. It's heartbreaking. So,
well, good for you for finding a church anyway. You know, that's great. Like I said, online, it would be nice to have, you know, the physical, actual people, friends in IRL, you know. IRL, we'll call this, shall we? You know, who I could have these conversations with. But, you know, I talk to my wife about these things, and I find you find what you can where you can, I suppose. And thank God for the online communities, I would say, that have grown in this dark time. And our communities have kind of blended a little bit. I think a lot of people listen to my stuff. I've listened to your stuff in the past, and I've networked with, like I said, many creators, and we have like a shared audience. And it's kind of like I can go and listen to, like, say, your show or Joe's show or Vitali's show. Let's say anyone in this community's show. Got J Dreamers in the chat. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I'll find familiar names and faces in the talking there that I know and recognize, who I've talked with on my channel. And it's kind of, this is a solid community. Like, we may all have our own individual little communities, but the Christian truther community, I feel like, is strong right now. I feel like we've really found our people. We've got together and we've managed to actually form something cohesive relatively. And there's bad actors here and there. Sure, there's dissidents, but I think generally it's hard to knock us around too much, because we're all trying to focus on the truth and God, and it's difficult to detract that with nonsense.
And I think we've all had to become pretty resilient in doing this anyway. So
definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
a lot of slings and arrows. So
for sure. Full armor of God will be fine.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
That being said, it looks like we're coming up to the 2-hour mark. We've got about 8 minutes left. So let's close this out. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me, man.
No problem. It's a therapy session for me as much as it is for you. So thank you.
Hey, I will say I feel a lot better just being able to do this. I've been kind of isolated for the last week, 2 weeks, and it just feels good. So thank you again. I really mean that.
No problem.
Good therapy.
That's what it's for. That's what it's
licensed.
For.
Not licensed.
No, I'm not a legal therapist. I'm not licensed.
Yeah, there we go.
Do not take any of my advice as gospel anything when it comes to mental health. And that is not. No, I'm not there to help you with that. But I'll pretend. So here we are. Therapy session. Fantastic. I think the people listening have really enjoyed it as well. I wouldn't know. My chat's vanished. OBS has crashed the chat. But I assume everybody really enjoyed that. Okay. But yeah, PJ, we'll get you back on. We'll do this again. If you just want to plug all of your places where people can find you, just to close out. And I would also recommend, this is me talking, not you, support PJ any way you can. Obviously, I don't know if PJ's got like a Patreon or anything of the sorts. PJ, if you haven't, I would recommend starting one. It's a great way.
I do need to start one. Yeah.
It would be a great way to get people to support you and help you do this for a living, which is what you want to do. And obviously, I'm thankful to all my patrons that help me do what I do. And I'd recommend you do it as well. But where they can find you and support you right now, let them know.
Yeah, no, I definitely should be doing that. I kind of left my job to do this full time. So this whole kind of thing going on has been insane. But yeah, where you can find me right now is if you look for Real Conspiracies, REEL, like in movie Reel. You can listen to it anywhere you find podcasts. I've got a YouTube channel for it. I've got a Rumble channel for it. There's an Instagram. And then there's some links, obviously, in the description of this video for my other Instagram and YouTube. Just if you can follow me any of those places. I tried my best to answer every single. I do eventually answer every single DM and things that I get. So if you guys have questions, if you have suggestions or anything like that, I'm going to be making announcements. I'm working on some stuff. So honestly, following me everywhere and just praying for me. Every time somebody messages me to say they're praying, I think that's the most important thing. So I just really appreciate those. So right now, Real Conspiracies, REEL Conspiracies, anywhere you listen to podcasts. So.
Fantastic. And like I said, guys, links are down below. I'll be back soon with another Truth or Therapy session in the middle of the week. I got a booked up calendar again every Wednesday and Sunday. I'll be releasing what I can when I can. But I'm also in the middle of decorating and doing all sorts of moving house stuff. And obviously I got a second kid on the way that could come at any moment as well. So I'm also on standby for that. But I'm going to do what I can when I can for you guys, and I've got plenty of stuff coming up in the future, lots of interviews. For those who have been listening and requesting that I talk about anime more, I have a big channel coming on, maybe his platform or mine, and we're going to talk about Guts, and we're going to talk about the entire series of that and how there's a lot of references there to the Millennial Kingdom of Christ, which is quite interesting. He's going to do a lot of breakdown about that on my channel, so you have that to look forward to coming up in the next couple of weeks, so keep your eye out for that, guys. But yeah, I'll be back soon, and as always, guys, thanks for listening.
When ordinary people think of autumn, they imagine shorter days, cozy fires, curling up with a great piece of literature, and basking in the warming scent of cinnamon with shades of burnt orange, which your other half has decided to spend the life savings on to decorate the home for only 2 months, just as God intended. Yet we must remember that this transition into the frosty abyss of winter creates the perfect conditions for the spread of the pathogen known as Halloween. This disease causes people to dress like demons and go door to door asking for free stuff. This public service announcement aims to give you the correct tool to help you deal with these contagious commie behaviors when they manifest in your local community. First, you'll want to arm yourself with multiple shots of the best-selling paperback on Amazon called The Nephilim Looked Like Clowns. With this PPE, you're fully equipped and well protected to handle what's to come next. Second, have a pumpkin spice latte and white girl autumn your time away in knitted cream shackets and pilgrim hats, because soon enough, Samhain begins. This is when the veil between the spirit realm and the physical world is at its thinnest, and possession, the main symptom of Halloween, is more commonly presented, causing this type of unironic cringe to start happening. Just look at him. This poor soul thinks he looks cool. And if you're not careful, this could be you. Together we can stop the spread of Halloween and flatten the curve. When you see fully grown adults playing dress-up and mirroring unspeakable horrors from beyond the void, remember your training and cure their vapid sense of self-identity by handing them one of our favourably reviewed treatments. Your country must develop herd immunity to seasonal cringe. So, spread the cure far and wide. Just like the cure, this disease does not discriminate by age. Emulating the infected, you will see children running around in bedsheets, knocking on doors, begging for sugary treats, and threatening to damage your well-earned property. Make sure to fill their novelty buckets with the one thing all children secretly want: a well-rounded and relatable education in biblical history. That'll stop the spread. The Nephilim Look Like Clowns and the inevitable booster volumes are currently the only known cure to thinly veiled demon channeling holidays. This is your best defense against this pandemic of spooky proportions. All you have to do is trust the science. Which you know we did, because I'm showing you people wearing lab coats and looking serious. Get your copy on Amazon today, and be prepared for tomorrow. Side effects of reading The Nephilim Look Like Clowns include, but are not limited to, a feeling of existential crisis, a well-rounded knowledge of a Christian contrarian view on human history, a foundational understanding of spiritual warfare, and a healthy aversion to clowns.